Never slice again. Ball's going to tell you what to work on. You can do this with any club, which every golfer who doesn't slice the ball has. But it's not about more, it's about doing it correctly, because there's a right and a wrong way to do everything. So the ball is now going to be your best teacher. How can we sort this slice out? That's the only way to stop slicing. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Warren Bennett. We've got Trev hiding in the shadow out there. Well, here he comes, star of the show as per usual, aren't you, Trev? And today we've got a video about how to stop slicing. Well, basically never slice again. If you're a golfer who suffers from the slice, you know how difficult it is. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it, when we get on the tee and winds left to right, we've got a bit of trouble, we've got overhanging tree. How can we sort this slice out? At the very worst, how can we make it less? Take away your extreme. But I've got a little visual here and a little exercise for you to do to basically never slice again. That golf ball is just reacting to what that club face is doing. So I'm going to give you this main feeling, but unfortunately in golf, as we know, it's not as simple as that. So I'm not going to get the back camera set up because we've already got it. I'll make sure you know who's out the way. I'm going to tell you all about it. You can do this with any club. You can do this feeling with any club. I'm going to do the drill with an iron, and I recommend you do the same. So I'm going to put it on the tee. You don't have to. I'm suffering with my hand a little bit. Got some arthritis in my hand. If your club head, or if the club head has this rolling action, so basically the toe of the club, which is the bit furthest away from you, if you're not sure, if that's rolling over, the golf ball will never slice. Now, like I said in the intro, it's never as simple as that, because there's a right and a wrong way to do everything. So if I had a glove logo, you can see my glove logo just before impact is basically aiming out away from me, and then just after impact it's aiming behind me. What I'm not doing, and one little trap door to fall into, is I'm not flicking it. You can see what's happening there. I'm just kind of cupping my left wrist so I can still see my logo. You cannot see your logo post impact. So you're just working on this little rolling release with your wrists. So you can go off a tee, 8 iron, I've got a 7 here, little backswing, little follow through. And you're just practicing just that tiny little wrist release. My awareness is in my glove, making sure my glove is looking just slightly out, and then I'm rolling it over. So obviously it's not going to draw. With a little shot like this, there's not enough velocity on the ball to make it spin, so we're going to lengthen it up a little bit. And this is where it can start going wrong, when you start lengthening your swing, especially if you're a golfer who's a bit of a caster over the top or hold on. Right, so the first trapdoor people fall into is when they do this exercise, is they come over the top, even from a small little swing like this. So you've got to make sure you're just doing it with your hands only. There's no body involved at all. Your arms, your forearms and your elbows are probably going to get pulled along for the ride. And just after this exercise, we're really going to kind of ramp it up a little bit. So a little backswing, little follow through. You can see my shoulders are pretty square still. So this isn't the golf swing, remember, but you're practicing the rolling of the wrists, which every golfer who doesn't slice the ball has. So you're basically just pointing the club up a little bit. You're making a mini backswing to put your hands in a position. You can see my glove logo is pointing at you. Now you're dropping everything down and starting to roll over. Rather you exaggerate it, remember you're just doing it with your hands only. And the trapdoor I see people do this is, if your ball's going left doing this, you're doing it with your shoulder. Because a lot of people want to feel some rolling, they want the right side to start overtaking, and they do it with their shoulder. You cannot do it with your shoulder. If you do it with your shoulder, you can see I smothered it. So if you're smothering the ball, trying to do this release, that's what's happening. Because it's an easy thought, or it's an easy awareness for the human brain to say, yes, I want to do it more. But it's not about more, it's about doing it correctly. So if you do the backswing correctly, basically logo pointing away from you, from here it's very hard to over release it if you just do it with your hands, and your arms will just get pulled along. Very hard to over exaggerate that. Not adding loft, you're not cupping your left hand, you're just basically, the glove logo is pointing back away from you, so it's a 180 degree roll. If you're doing that, you know you're going to add some draw spin on it, or take away the excess slice spin anyway. Right, so the next phase, and I'm really obviously fast tracking this, next phase is to start adding some speed. This is where it's going to start getting tricky for you, especially if you're a golfer that's a bit over the top. Is we need to release, we need to add this wrist release, but if the ball is now going to start drawing, we need to start the ball to the right. So one little ingredient you can add, it's like a little spice to the recipe, is just before impact we need this club behind you feeling. Obviously if you have a club that's outside here, club head, you can see from the behind view, if I release that, obviously it's going to go left, so the ball's going to tell you what to work on. If the ball draws but starts left or straight and draws and goes left, you know you've got to work on a little bit of pre-impact, a bit of path basically. Then you've got a position now to release it up the right and draw it. And that's really uncomfortable for the golfer who slices it, because remember, the golfer who slices it has the big miss to the right. So the last thing a golfer who slices it wants to do is drop it in here and feel like they're hitting right, but you've got to get through that kind of uncomfortable feeling, but you've just basically got to trust the club head, get the club head feeling behind you a little bit more, and then you can release it. So you can do a few little exercises like that, practice swings. You can drop down, but you're making sure the club head is behind your hands. That would be square, that's in front of your hands. You're now behind your hands. From here you can release it. So now you've got an inside path release, so the ball now should, if I do this correctly, should start right. There we go. Obviously it's not going to draw a lot, but it started right. So the ball is now going to be your best teacher. It's going to tell you what to work on with this anti-slice swing. Beautiful. And you've got to be a bit patient, because as we know, it's difficult. As soon as you start layering speed, driver, everything like that, it's going to throw a bit of old in there. And you don't need to draw the ball to play good golf, by the way, just taking the extremes away. So club head behind, release. You'll never slice it again if you release your hands over. If you get that hand basically doing this, the club head will then turn over and it will start drawing. But you've got to add these little feelings in as well, because there's no point, like I said, there's no point doing that and drawing it and missing left. That's as bad as a slice missing too far to the right. You're just rolling your hands. There's a little bit of motion, but you're not trying to activate your shoulders at all. But the ball is going to be your best friend and your best teacher. It's going to show you what elements to work on. If the ball goes left and draws, you've done good release, but you've done it with your shoulders, so you need to do it a little bit more, getting the club a little bit more from the inside and releasing. If the ball starts right, but it kind of either tails off to the right or it doesn't draw at all, you know you need to add more release. And that's the seesaw. Basically, one end is release with your hands, one end's a bit of path hitting to the right. But you've got some sort of element of control. If you want the ball to start right, you've got to hit kind of under 3 o'clock as you look down. If you want the ball to draw more, you really got to get some education of your hands and arms here. Got to get your hands rolling. That's the only way to stop slicing. And the ball, like I said at the very start, is only responding to what the club head is doing. If you start getting that toe rolling, the ball will never slice on you. Just make sure you can release that right hand. Practice little one hand swings. Club head behind to guarantee inside, release it. Keep nice and still with the head. If you keep nice and still with the head, you'll keep nice and still with the shoulders. Right, okay everyone, so quite simplistic, and remember there are other factors of the body and the motion to affect the club, but you've got to have this releasing action. Just take away that slice. Right, okay everyone, so thanks very much for all your support. Thanks for basically taking the time out to support the Academy, support me. Subscribing to the channel through YouTube is absolutely free. All that does is basically alert you to any future videos that I upload. The Patreon is a paid subscription, got 3 different tiers. More content, more behind the scenes, basically more Academy stuff over there as well. Have a great golfing week, and thanks for watching. Cheerio!